The Me262. The first operational jet fighter, the Messerschmitt Me262, started as Project 1065. Competing with Ernst Heinkel's experimental HE-280, the Me262 was selected because it was designed for the Junkers Jumo 003 axial flow engine. The Messerschmitt Me262, nicknamed Schwalbe, German for swallow, in fighter versions, or Sturmvogel, German for Stormbird, in fighter bomber versions, is a fighter aircraft and fighter bomber that was designed and produced by the German aircraft manufacturer Messerschmitt. It was the world's first operational jet-powered fighter aircraft. Specifications. The manufacturer was Messerschmitt. The type was a fighter, fighter bomber, a night fighter, and a trainer. It had one pilot for a fighter, and for a fighter bomber and a night fighter, it had a pilot and radar operator. For a trainer, it had a pilot and instructor. Its power plant was two Junkers Jumo 004 axial flow turbojets. Had a length of 34 feet 9 inches, had a height of 11 feet 6 inches. Its wingspan was 41 feet 6 inches. Had a wing area of 234 square feet. It weighed 8,366 pounds empty and 14,272 pounds full. Its max speed was 559 miles an hour. Its ceiling was 37,565 feet. It had a climb rate of 3,900 feet a minute. Its range was 652 miles. Its armament was four 30mm 108 cannons, 24 2.2-inch rockets, two 551-pound bombs, or two 1,012-pound bombs for the A2 only. Being one of the most advanced aviation designs to attain operational status during the Second World War, the Me262's roles included light bomber, reconnaissance, and experimental night fighter versions. The Me262 proved to be an effective dogfighter against Allied fighters, and German pilots claimed a total of 542 Allied aircraft shot down, although higher claims have sometimes been made. Operations were plagued with reliability issues, which were largely the result of widespread strategic materials shortages as well as design compromises on the Jumo turbojet engines that powered it. Attacks by Allied forces on fuel supplies during the deteriorating late war situation also reduced the effectiveness of the Me262 as a fighting force. In the end, the Me262 had a negligible impact on the course of the war as a result of its late introduction and the consequently small numbers that entered operational service. While German use of the Me262 ended with the close of the Second World War, a small number were operated by the Czechoslovakian Air Force until 1951. Also, Israel was allegedly counted as a user of a handful between 2 and 8 of Me262s, which were supposedly built by Avia and supplied covertly, although there have been no official confirmations of such use. It also heavily influenced several designs, such as the Sukhoi Su-9 in 1946 and the Nakajima Kika. Numerous captured Me262s were studied and flight tested by the major powers and ultimately influenced the designs of post-war aircraft such as the North American F-86 Sabre, MiG-15, and Boeing B-47 Stratojet. Several aircraft have survived on static display in museums, while multiple privately built flying reproductions have also been produced. These are commonly powered by modern General Electric CJ610 engines. Design and development. Origins. Several years prior to the Second World War, the Germans foresaw the great potential for aircraft powered by the jet engine constructed in 1936. After the successful test flights of the world's first jet aircraft, the Heinkel HE-178, within a week of the invasion of Poland, which started the conflict, they adapted the jet engine for an advanced fighter aircraft. As a result, the Me262 was already under development as Project 1065 before the start of the war. The project had originated with a request by the RLM, the Ministry of Aviation, for a jet aircraft capable of 1 hour's endurance and a speed of at least 530 miles per hour. During April 1939, initial plans were drawn up, and following their submission in June 1939, the original design was very different from the aircraft that eventually entered service. Specifically, it featured wing root mounted engines rather than potted ones. The progression of the original design was delayed greatly by technical problems with the new jet engine. Because the engines were slow to arrive, Messerschmitt moved the engines from the wing rods to the underwing pods, allowing them to be changed more readily if needed. That turned out to be important, both for availability and for maintenance. Since the BMW 003 jets proved heavier than anticipated, the wing was swept slightly, by 18.5 inches to accommodate a change in the center of gravity. In his memoirs, Albert Speer, then Minister of Armaments and War Production, claimed Hitler originally had blocked mass production of the Me262 before agreeing in early 1944. Similar criticisms were voiced by Lieutenant General Adolf Galland. Hitler rejected arguments that the aircraft would be more effective as a fighter against the Allied bombers destroying large parts of Germany, and wanted it as a bomber for revenge attacks. According to Speer, Hitler felt its superior speed compared to other fighters of the era meant it could not be attacked, and so preferred it for high-altitude straight flying. The Me262 is often referred to as a swept-wing design, as the production aircraft had a small but significant leading-edge sweep of 18.5 degrees, which likely provided an advantage by increasing the critical Mach number. Sweep, uncommon at the time, was added after the initial design of the aircraft. The engines proved heavier than originally expected, and the sweep was primarily added to position the center of lift properly relative to the center of mass. The original 35-degree sweep proposed by Adolf Busermann was not adapted. On March 1940, instead of moving the wing backward on its mount, the outer wing was repositioned slightly aft. The trailing edge of the midsection of the wing remained unswept. Based on data from AVA Göttingen and wind tunnel results, the inboard section's leading edge between the nacelle and the wing root was later swept to the same angle as the outer panels from the V6 sixth prototype onward throughout volume production. Operationally, carrying 530 U.S. gallons of fuel in two 240 U.S. gallon tanks, one each fore and aft of the cockpit, and a 53 U.S. gallon ventral fuselage tank beneath, the Me262 would have a total flight endurance of 60 to 90 minutes. Fuel was usually J2, derived from brown coal, with the option of diesel or a mixture of oil and high-octane B4 aviation petrol. Fuel consumption was double the rate of typical twin-engine fighter aircraft of the era, which led to the installation of a low fuel warning indicator in the cockpit that would notify pilots when remaining fuel fell below 66 U.S. gallons. The unit cost for an Me262 airframe, less engines, armament, and electronics, was 87,400 Reichsmarks at the time. To build one airframe took around 6,400 man-hours. Operations. During March 1945, Me262 fighter pilots were able, for the first time, to mount large-scale attacks on Allied bomber formations. On 18 March 1945, 37 Me262s of JG-7 intercepted a force of 1,221 bombers and 632 escorting fighters. They shot down 12 bombers and 1 fighter for the loss of 3 Me-262s. Although a 4-to-1 ratio was exactly what the Luftwaffe would have needed to make an impact on the war, the absolute scale of their success was minor, as it represented only 1% of the attacking force. In the last days of World War II, Me-262s from JG-7 and other units were committed in ground assault missions in an attempt to support German troops fighting Red Army forces. Just south of Berlin, halfway between Spermberg and the German capital, the Wehrmacht's 9th Army, with elements from the 12th Army and 4th Panzer Army, were assaulting the Red Army's 1st Ukrainian front. To support this attack, on 24th of April, JG-7 dispatched 31 Me-262s on a strafing mission in the Cottbus-Bautzen area. On the evening of 27th April, 36 Me-262s with conjoining forces were sent against Soviet forces that were attacking German troops in the forest northeast of Voght. They succeeded in strafing 65 Soviet lorries, after which the Me-262s intercepted low-flying Il-2 Sturmovix searching for the German tanks. Jet pilots claimed 6 Sturmovix for the loss of 3 Messerschmitts. During operations between 28th April and 1st May, Soviet fighters and ground fire downed at least 10 more Me-262s from JG-7. However, Jägerschwader 7 managed to keep its jets operational until the end of the war, and on 8th May at around 4 p.m., Oberleutnant Fritz Stell of the 2nd Group in Jägerschwader 7, while flying an Me-262, attacked a formation of Soviet aircraft. He claimed a Yakolev Yak-9, but the plane shot down was probably a P-39 Air Cobra. Soviet records show that they lost 2 Air Cobras, one of them probably downed by Stell, who would have thus scored the last Luftwaffe air victory of the war, which was in an Me-262. Despite its deficiencies, the Me-262 clearly marked the beginning of the end of piston-engined aircraft as effective fighting machines. Once airborne, it could accelerate to speeds over 530 miles an hour, about 93 miles an hour faster than any Allied fighter operational in Europe at the time. The Me-262's top ace was probably Hauptmann Franz Schall with 17 kills, including 6 4-engine bombers and 10 P-51 fighters, although fighter ace Oberleutnant Kurt Welte claimed 25 Mosquitoes and 2 4-engine bombers shot down by night and 2 further Mosquitoes by day. Most of Welte's claimed night kills were achieved by eye, even though Welte had tested a prototype Me-262 fitted with the FUG-218 Neptune radar. Another candidate for top ace on the aircraft was Oberstleutnant Heinrich Bahr, one who we have seen in the earlier Focke-Wulf 190A8 video, who is credited himself with 16 enemy aircraft while flying the Me-262s out of his total of 240 aircraft shot down. Production. About 1,400 planes were produced. However, less than 100 Me-262s were in a combat-ready condition at any one time. According to sources, they destroyed from 300 to 450 enemy planes, with the Allies destroying about 100 Me-262s in the war. While Germany was bombed intensively, production of the Me-262 was dispersed into low-profile production facilities, sometimes little more than clearings in the forests of Germany and occupied countries. From the end of February to the end of March 1945, approximately 60 Me-262s were destroyed in attacks on Obertraubling and 30 at Leipheim. The Neuburg jet plant itself was bombed on 19 March 1945. Large, heavily protected underground facilities were constructed. as with the partly buried Vinegill 1 complex for the Jumo 004 jet engine production, to take up production of the Me262, safe from bomb attacks. A disused mine complex under the Valpersburg mountain was adapted for the production of complete aircraft. These were hauled to the flat top of the hill where a runway had been cleared and flown out. Between 20 and 30 Me262s were built here, the underground factory being overrun by Allied troops before it could reach a meaningful output. Wings were produced in Germany's oldest motorway tunnel in Engelberg to the west of Stuttgart. At B8 Berger Christel Esche 2, a vast network of tunnels was excavated where slave laborers of concentration camp Gusen II produced fully equipped fuselages for the Me262 at a monthly rate of 450 units on large assembly lines from early 1945. Gusen II was known as one of the harshest concentration camps. Typical life expectancy was 6 months. An estimated 35,000 to 50,000 people died on the forced labor details for the Me262. Post-war. At the end of the war, the Me262 and other advanced German technologies were swept up by the Soviets, British, and Americans as part of the US AAF's Operation Lusty. Many Me262s were found in readily repairable condition and were confiscated. The Soviets, British, and Americans wished to evaluate the technology, particularly the engines. During testing, the 262 was found to be faster than the British Gloster Meteor fighter, and had better visibility to the sides and rear, mostly due to the canopy frames and the discoloration caused by the plastics used in the Meteor's construction, and was a superior gun platform to the Meteor F1, which had a tendency to shake at high speed and exhibited weak aileron response. The Me262 had a shorter range than the Meteor and had less reliable engines. Captain Eric Brown, an RAF test pilot who had flew 487 types of planes during his service, flew a captured Me262 as well as other captured German technology after the end of the war. He referred to the Me262 as the most formidable aircraft of the war. He noted that it had a number of innovatory features, but in terms of performance was a quantum jump ahead of other planes at the time. In particular, he noted its swept-back wings, its axial flow engine, and the 4 powerful 30mm cannons. He stated that it was significantly faster than the fastest Spitfire at the time, with the speed that you could conduct combat totally on your own terms. If you didn't want to engage, you could just go off and leave everyone standing. The Czechoslovakian aircraft industry continued to produce the single-seat Avia S92 and two-seat Avia CS92 variants of the Me262 after World War II. From August 1946, a total of 9 S92s and 3 two-seater CS92s were completed and test flown. They were introduced in 1947 and in 1950 were supplied to the 5th Fighter Squadron, becoming the first jet fighters to serve in the Czechoslovakian Air Force. These were kept flying until 1951, when they were replaced in service by Soviet jet fighters. Both versions are on display in Prague.